We are talking The Arrangement, Season 1, Episode 2, The X. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hey guys, welcome to The Arrangement. We are talking about the second episode, The X, where we have met Elizabeth now. Annika is back. They are in Venice. So much is happening. So many quick beats in this episode, which I really enjoyed. So I'm Tessa Cevaal. You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Tessa_Cevaal. These are my lovely co-hosts.
Hi, I'm Ally Nasta. You can find me on Twitter at Ally Nasta and on Instagram at AllyGirl.
Hello, and I'm Taquaila Jackson. You can find me at Taquaila_I am.
And make sure to follow AFTERBUZZ TV on all your social media platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. So let's dive right in. I want to talk about Kyle and Megan first.
Yes.
And their relationship that is quickly continuing to escalate.
Definitely is.
They are in Venice this episode, which was really exciting. It was shot very beautifully.
It was.
So what did you guys think about their relationship in this episode? We kind of got to see a little bit more.
Yeah, I will say there were some times in the first episode that I was questioning, this is going so fast, this seems unrealistic to me. And then I don't know what it was about this episode, but from start to finish, it was a little bit different from in the beginning, but I started like smiling. Like I was like watching them together and I just was finding myself smile like a giddy like schoolgirl. I was like, you guys are so cute.
I still feel like Kyle is a little more, he's a little more out there. He's putting himself out there, while Megan is still a little reserved. Like, because I think she's still iffy about the contract and what's entailed and trying to feel her way through it. But also then, like you said, I got giddy because when they're there and they're walking around the town, it looks like they're holding hands and they're so cute. And then the dinner on the boat and they just wake up there and I'm like, oh, I'm falling in love with them too.
Right?
So.
Yeah, their chemistry this episode really made it believable for me.
It did, yes.
I was kind of like, I could understand why they would do this so quickly, to see that their chemistry for each other is kind of definitely highly evolved in such a short amount of time.
My one thing with them still, though, is I feel like it's so physical. And I feel like Megan was just like naked half the episode.
I agree.
That's
Which
true.
is, I feel like, normal for the beginning of relationships. It's always kind of more physical at first, but I feel like I'm still having a hard time, not as much from the last episode, but still seeing, like, what's keeping them together.
I'm glad you brought that up because what I was kind of mentioning when I was talking about the relationship and their chemistry and how I was smiling, the end of the episode made me highly believe what's going on here, like what's Kyle's actual motive.
Yes.
Because like he was upset and not talking and all of a sudden she just started kissing him and then the rest was okay. Like everything, and it seems like every time they come into this like awkward, we don't know what to do with each other, they just start making out. And that's kind of like the way to resolve their issues.
Yes, that goes back to Tessa saying that it's all physical and things of that nature. And every question that they ask is either from Ben, Kyle's assistant, what kind of pillow do you like? Is there any food allergies do you have? And those are very surface level. And then they get together and you kind of see a little bit maybe when Kyle asked Megan, okay, so what was your first concert? Maybe kind of fishing through it a little bit, but there again, I agree with you when you say what is his ulterior motive? Like what is the end goal of this?
Exactly. And I think just really quick is that you're kind of seeing her too. I'm kind of going back of what I was saying, but I will say I was smiling the whole time when I was watching them in the beginning of the episode. Then it kind of obviously died out with the drama that happened. But I will say, I feel like she also is trying to like take care of him in that physical manner because there's no other way she can really do anything because he's doing everything for her. Like she's getting all these like lavish things.
True.
So she feels like, what do I do? And I think like that's a weird way. Like I don't like that she feels like she has to do that, but maybe that's why it is. I don't know. But it does feel like there's like a give and take. That like someone's giving more than the other, and it's just like we don't know where they're gonna come in and like meet each other in the middle. I don't know.
I agree with that because, like you said, if he has everything essentially, and he's boats and dinner, and you're like, well, how can I give back? How can I top that, or what can I do to make him feel just appreciated and special as he made me? Surprising me with the dinner on the boat, so I can agree with that definitely.
Yeah,
that's a really interesting point. I never really thought about it in that way.
But I feel like she also is worried about this all going away. So she's trying to like keep him intact because I think she really does enjoy all of the lavish things from what I've seen so far. Do you guys agree with that?
Well, you know what? Actually, I'm going to kind of skip around for a second. There was that moment when she was in the bar with Daisy and her friends.
Yeah.
Where I think she was like, wait a minute, is this everything that I want? Because they were talking about how Daisy kind of made it on her own.
Exactly, yes.
And now she's in that same limelight, but only because of her boyfriend.
That's exactly true, because they cheers for not getting things handed to us or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then she did kind of like close down, like, oh, well, I just had all this handed to me.
And I think they wanted us to see it purposefully because we had a close-up of her, like, color sullen look afterwards.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, maybe a reflection on, okay, maybe all of this is kind of because of Kyle, and then she kind of felt left out. So that is a good point. Good point.
Yeah, so... Yeah, I mean, she definitely, I think it's like she's struggling with she wants to do things on her own, wants to be the successful woman that she knows she could be, but then she also is, like, tainted with all these, like, lavish things, and she does, I think at this point, genuinely like Kyle. So it's like she's just kind of, like, playing with, like, the pros and the cons, and it's just kind of like, what do I do? I'm just gonna...
And yeah, piggybacking off of all that, it's just not a normal
No.
relationship.
Yeah.
No, not a lot of people sign contracts.
Exactly.
Like, it's just a weird
Yeah.
situation to begin with.
And like
Yeah.
she said in the first episode, well, why can't we just date to see how it goes? And Kyle
Yeah.
was not for
Yeah.
that. He was like, no, we have to go by this contract. So I think,
Yeah.
like you said, it's just not typical, and she's kind of trying to figure her way through it.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think about all this pressure to make Kyle look good?
It kind of frustrates me because it's like you can tell she's very defiant, and that's obviously a problem that we ran into, but at the same time, she did sign away those rights and privileges that she should have had, where it's kind of like, well, you shouldn't have signed that away. You basically, if you didn't read through everything, then there should be no surprises at this point.
Yes.
That's kind of how I feel.
I think I agree. I think also, too, though, you just never know the extent to what you're signing away. And I think Terrence tried to tell her, it could be pretty hectic before they got on the plane to go to Venice. You never really are prepared, or you never really know the kind of life that Kyle lives and what all that embodies. So I think initially... it was kind of like, well, why not? Especially what happened with her ex-boyfriend and finding out the other girlfriend was pregnant. So it was like, this might have seemed like the next best thing to try to help get over it. But I think she's going to come into a corner soon.
Yeah.
Well, and I think we started seeing that already. I mean, at the very end of the episode, Terrence goes, what did he say? He was like, either you can't keep a commitment or you aren't very bright. And that to me was like, whoa, like this is real.
Yeah.
But I think what bothers me about this whole thing is that they're in a relationship, but it's all about Kyle.
Yeah,
like it's not about Megan. Like that's just like really hard, I think, to be in a situation where it's not about you.
Well, yeah, totally. And I think it's kind of one of those things where she was stuck in a sticky situation because she was very vulnerable from breaking up with her or not even breaking up with her boyfriend, finding out that he had been cheating on her. That might be true, maybe not. We don't really know where Annika lies right now and what that whole thing is. But I just think that situation that she was thrown into was something that, like, anybody would feel like almost like it's a Cinderella story, Like she, I don't know if we talked about Cinderella's story, like, last episode, but even if we
I don't think we really touched on
but
that.
I feel like it's because she's, like, swept off her feet and she feels like this is, like, where her next move was. Like, she feels like no matter the circumstances, like, you can't help when you find true love. So I feel like she's kind of swept off in that, like, well, regardless of the situation, like, I do feel like this could be something that's good for me. But, like, she's not realizing. I think that we probably will see her in a couple episodes be like, whoa, like, I need to be taken care of as well.
And then also, I think most of it, too, can come from they're trying to prohibit who she is as well. Even though you sign the contract, a part of you to make it real, to make it natural, to make it feel like it's going well, still has to embody and come out. So I think they're kind of restricting her from doing that, too. It's just do as I say, listen, follow this, and that's it. But in the midst of it, I still have to come out to make it real, you know? So I think they're kind of restricting and holding her back from that, too.
Exactly. And let's be real. Who's going to sit there and smile when your boyfriend or fiance, husband, whatever he may be at this point, I don't know what stage in the game, because they signed the contract, but they didn't get married yet. Anyways, but like, who's gonna smile when they're watching him talk with his ex-fiance, almost wife?
Exactly. And everybody's been leading up to it, not even just the reality and TV, but his publicist, the PR lady, and everything else. Deanna has been leading up to it. Terrence is forewarning her about your facial expressions, your body language, and everything before they fly away. So it's kind of also on her mind in the background as well. So what is she supposed to do?
Yeah, like you're not gonna sit there and be like, oh, this is great. If anything, that might even be another thing the tabloids could go away with, like, oh, she was smiling, I wonder what that means, you know? But I don't know.
Yeah, I find it, like, it's so incredibly micromanaged, the whole situation, that I think it's just bound to blow up in their face at some point, because you just can't live that way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Which it kind of, like, yeah, definitely. I totally agree with what you're saying.
So it makes me wonder at the same time how Kyle functions the way he does, being so incredibly micromanaged. It almost seems like a part of him's, like, brainwashed.
I think
Yeah.
so.
You guys
I definitely
see
agree.
that?
When we had the scene and he's on Skype or whatever it is with Terrence, and he's like, hold your emotions in your hand. And
That
like,
was so weird. I said, this higher mind stuff is weird.
Exactly.
Weird.
I see 3 hours and 4 days.
What is this? I just was kind of watching like, huh? What's going on? What is going on?
And I want to know what that relationship is, like what that stronghold is, because Terrence does have that over Kyle. And it, like you said, it does make him not be able to think for himself or have any steps that he can do without Terrence specifically micromanaging him or telling him how to live his life or how to feel his feelings and what to think. I think we'll see, hopefully throughout the show, him kind of want to break out of that eventually.
Yeah. And
I want to see how it plays into Megan in the sense that when he surprised her with that bow and dinner and everything, part of me was like, okay, was this actually Kyle's idea? Or was it the Institute's idea and told Kyle or whatever? And then same with his clothes. Like, did Kyle have a say in the pre-approved clothing? Or was it the Institute? Like, I want to know the mastermind behind all of these decisions that are being made in his life, because I don't think they're all from him.
Yeah, I agree.
No, I think that all of this was arranged. And as my prediction or kind of my... what my theory is from last episode is that I feel like Deanna, who is Terrence's wife, she somehow is manipulating the higher mind, and that's how Megan got thrown into the situation. Like, I think personally that Deanna chose Megan out like on her own and then decided to like throw her into the situation, and I think that she's somehow trying to take down the Institute, and this is her like one ploy.
That is huge, because that's it. Take down the Institute, you're taking down your husband and everything. So
because I think that she's trying to like and the way she's doing this is like that's how Annika's involved, because we see her this episode show up to Terrence and be like, I need help, but she was just on the phone with Deanna being like, just like calm down, like you don't want to go there. So I think that her and Deanna had another conversation, and she's like, all right, this is your next step of the plan, and Annika is crazy and doing this on her own. I don't know that yet, but
I think, and I'm really excited to see where that goes with Annika. Good prediction. If
that's
she is
like
trying
really
to go
good
with
prediction,
that,
Ally.
yes, because that'll be a whole storm of events that will fall after
I think that would make sense, because we're seeing this like all like everything seems so calculated, and she's the one always trying to be like, no, Terrence, stay away, you know.
That is true, because I feel like the first episode kind of painted Terrence as the head of everything, but this episode it was really interesting to see Deanne kind of become a part of almost something higher than Terrence was, because she was the one on the trip, which I thought was really interesting that Terrence wasn't going.
Well, because she was the executive producer, right? And then...
But still, I just feel like Terrence would be there. Not, like, instead of her, but, like, at least with her.
Yeah.
And she said that she thought he wouldn't be a good look coming to Venice on behalf of Kyle because he's his mental... I forgot the word she used, but just his assistant, so that probably wouldn't look good, especially because the media thinks he may not be over Elizabeth or whatever they expect to happen with that. So that is true.
So many crazy things. Seriously.
Yes.
Okay, well, let's talk about Elizabeth, too.
Yes.
So moving on to that whole relationship, I know we touched on it for a second, but I was really surprised in the bathroom when Megan and Elizabeth kind of had their first interaction how rude Elizabeth came off? Did you guys think she came off really rude when she was like, you're in this by yourself, like, don't talk to me type of thing? I was like really taken back. I guess I mean, I know breakups are breakups and they're never fun or easy, but I was kind of like, whoa.
I think the way she approached it was definitely kind of shocking because Megan didn't even say anything to her yet. Like, they didn't even have time to have an interaction.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's like, oh, you wouldn't have even known who Megan was besides the tabloid. So they never had a proper introduction. But what I do think is that was her way of saying to her, like, I'm warning you right now, you are not in a good situation. I wasn't there either. Good luck, because it's crazy. Yes. I think it was definitely, she came about it in the most rash way possible, but I think that was her way of kind of being like, look, I got out, you should too.
I felt rude as you did at first, Tessa, but then I felt like, okay, she's forewarning her for some reason. And then again, going back to, so is it Kyle? And then we see a little bit of aggression come out of him towards the end of the show. Or then again, is it back to the Higher Mind Institute of Terrence or Deanna? So I'm like, who is that? What is she warning her for? So at first I was like, well, why? Just so rude. And, you know, Megan came to her so boldly, like talking to her about her work and not necessarily the relationship with Kyle. And then she was just like, we're not going to be friends. This doesn't work out.
Which, like, definitely what you're saying, Tessa, she should have, like, approached her differently. We're not going to be friends. Yeah. It's kind of, you know, approach the situation, be respectful of who this person is, and say, listen, just so you know, we're not going to be friends because I've been there before. Like, I've been in your shoes. You don't want to be there, kind of thing. She could have definitely approached it.
But then I think playing devil's advocate, too, it's like, if she's going to come off that intense, like, something really bad happened. Yeah. And it makes me wonder what that was.
Exactly.
And if it was Kyle's fault or her fault, clearly it's, like, leaning towards Kyle's fault if she has all this, like, aggression built up.
Totally.
So I'm just really curious, and I hope we find out soon what exactly split them apart and why. Because she stood him up at the wedding, correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
I mean, that's intense.
It is.
Yeah.
Runaway bride.
Yeah. And I mean, we every time Kyle and Megan kind of have this conversation, he always shies it away. And they speak about talking about it at a different time. So maybe, I'm sure that'll be something crazy that comes out when we kind of figure out what this higher institute actually means. Maybe it'll come there. I don't think we're gonna find out soon because they've got to like dangle the carrot for a little bit longer.
Yeah. And so what do you guys think about Annika then? How do you think she plays into the whole picture?
I think now, since Ally's prediction, I think she's
I know,
one of
you
the
turned my wheels too.
Exactly. So I think she may know something on Megan. And I think that that's going to be like the deal breaker to help Terrence kind of get her way like he wanted to begin with. He's not really fond of her. But she's a little strange to me. She looks a little psychotic, quite honestly, to me.
She does. Like, she's like that crazy look in her eye.
Like, even when she was talking to Terrence, and Terrence was like, well, how may I help you? And like, she just looks really deranged. So I'm like, what is her problem? And so I hope we do, again, get to see how that plays out and if she's either Kyle or coming from Megan. But I just have a feeling it's going to be something big about Megan that she's going to expose.
Right. I like I said, I feel as if Annika is there placed by Deanna and just kind of be like her toy. Okay, I'm gonna make you do all these things because I know you want to be an actress and I'll get you there one day, but first you're going to jump through these hoops for me. And I think maybe that was someone she met on an audition. You know, she's a producer, so maybe she met her as an actress and said, I can help you get to the next level, and then threw her these jobs as if, you know, putting her in Megan's life in different ways, which also goes back to my theory of how she's wanted Megan for Kyle for a while, for who knows why, what weird reason. But then I also question at the same time what Deanna's actual intentions are for Annika, because I don't know. I think I'm just confused, honestly. I don't even know how but like, she confuses me as a character, because I want to say it's for for Deanna's actual reasons, or if it's like she's just crazy. I don't know. I think we're gonna have to see a little bit more. But I thought maybe she'd be gone after last episode, and we would like get brought back to her a couple episodes later with more going on. But clearly they have some sort of like secret that they definitely both have crap on each other.
And it started really strong too, because she went off on Deanna when Deanna was like, when she asked Deanna to see the pictures, and she was like, well, what's going on? Deanna was like, well, just hold on. And she was like, well, I know the secret, and I will tell it if you don't start making, some changes. And then Deanna's like, whoa, so threaten me is probably not the best thing for your life right now. So it's kind of like, where do you play it at? Where is the role? And again, sadly, we probably won't know for a couple of episodes down what her real goal is, but I'm waiting for it because I need to know.
I know, I'm like dying inside. There's so much unknown with her.
Yeah, which can we talk about, because Annika was brought up, can we talk about how her ex randomly came up? And,
Nick?
Yeah, so I just am confused, because if Anna... I rewatched the first episode, and that whole scene between Annika and her ex Nick, he didn't deny hooking up with her, but he also didn't, when they were talking to each other, he wasn't he was just like, it never happened, stop, what are you talking about? She just he kept saying to Annika that along the terms of, well, he did say it was just once, so I don't know, I think my brain's kind of toying with, did they actually hook up, or was it something that literally he had no time to kind of stand up for himself?
And also because Megan just ran away after that. She was like, okay, this is ridiculous, but that is true. And now going back to your theory again, to see where it's coming from, and if she is, again, a ploy for Deanna and to mess up Nick and Megan's relationship. So now Megan can just be easier led to Kyle and what this contract and everything else will embody. So great point of view.
Or do you think Annika being part of this interesting dynamic with Deanne and Terrence maybe manipulated Nick in some way to think that something happened, or maybe something more happened than what actually happened?
I like the first or. That could be very true, yes. As if she did manipulate him, again, back to the mystery of why she's here and what her role will be.
Yeah.
But then also I felt if Nick really was trying to get back to Megan, instead of coming to her, maybe your feelings are hurt and you're upset. Okay, now I know this is really true. You are with Kyle. He's seen her in a dress. But still plead your case at least. Yeah. If that was the thing, I was just at least tell her it wasn't true. Just watch yourself, or at least hear me out, something. But he just gets so defensive that he finds out it's true, and then he just belittles her. Yeah. So I didn't like that part.
No,
though.
And that is true though, because when he stopped by, it was kind of, you thought, what's the point of this? Because they didn't have a conversation about what happened. They just both kind of shied away from the actual argument, and then it just ended. So I don't know.
That's a good point, because I guess I didn't realize they never really talked about it.
No,
it happened so quick. He was like, in, out.
And every time he comes into the scene in the first episode, he's calling her, and she hangs up on him, because that's when Kyle asked her to go to lunch.
Very true.
So every time they try to talk, it just gets shunned away.
That is true.
By great timing, I guess, but I don't know.
I'm with you on that.
It's a sign they're not supposed to talk. Wow, that gave me a lot to think about.
There's so many different theories that can happen.
I love your brain today. It's on roll. It's on the roll.
Thank you.
So I was actually watching a little interview that E! News did today, and they did with the cast of The Arrangement, and Terrence, or Michael, who plays Terrence, had mentioned that he was a failed actor, which I think hasn't been brought up yet in the show. But it made me think about, will this play into how he treats Kyle, this huge kind of it guy? So do you guys think that'll play out at all later in the season?
I totally believe it will.
Any jealousy or power struggle with him? Because
at a point in the first episode, Terrence did let Kyle know, I made you. You're here because of me. So I believe, great point, that it probably will. And he's probably more so jealous because he is the failed actor and Kyle's so huge. And that's why he manipulates and runs everything according to what Kyle does, thinks, feels, and etc. Because
he's living through him, vicariously living through him.
Exactly. Yes.
But in a really creepy way. Not just I'm vicariously living through your pictures. He's literally planning every detail of this man's life.
And he gets so angry when the littlest thing goes wrong. So when you see that
scary
he comes in and just pops up to Venice, okay, I need to be there because we have one bad publicity event and now I'm there. So I think that's a good point.
Well, you know what, I was kind of going off subject now. You know what I found very interesting about the whole post is her friends know about this contract, right? Because her friend posted the picture.
Right.
And they knew all this stuff and how, like, crazy it is. So why would a good friend post that picture?
Oh, I was under the... Wait, maybe I just read this wrong, but I thought that was because her phone wasn't encrypted yet, that he was able... Like, the whatever messages she sent, they were exposed. Remember how he said, like, make sure
maybe I understood it wrong then.
I don't know.
You
can be the
tiebreaker. I'm with you on that one. I thought so too because you said it wasn't encrypted yet, so I thought that was the reason why, not necessarily.
So I think that it got like hacked.
Yes,
that's my understanding.
I don't know why I thought that then. I thought it was her friend who posted it, and I was like, it's kind of rude of her friend to like do that when she knows she's like under all this pressure already. But never mind, everybody. I was wrong.
Well, I mean, you could be right. That was my assumption because I just thought, they had warned her about sending things because it could get hacked at any moment.
And also just because of how close they were, and you've seen a couple of texts while Hope was at work, just checking in on her, telling her to have a great time. So I don't think it would have been intentional on her part. So that's why I was with that assumption as well.
Yeah.
You guys are really on top of it, I guess. Okay, also, I want to talk about one more thing with Terrence. What do you guys think of his relationship with Deanne?
It's weird.
Do they seem like a normal couple, or do you think that they're under an arrangement contract as well?
Ooh, good point.
That is a great point. I thought that it felt forced. Every time they kissed, every time there was some sort of moment between them, it was just kind of, they were like magnets that were pushing away from each other.
And I think I like that because maybe there's multiple arrangements in this show that we have yet to see or know about. But it does feel, again, something that is just kind of together because of a purpose that we don't know yet. But you're here with me. We're going to do this. And whatever that end game is, we'll see eventually. But it's not authentic. Not at all.
It's weird to me. I truly feel like maybe they're in a similar situation. But it also doesn't make sense to me if they're kind of in charge of the whole thing. Why would they put that added pressure on them to do that?
Yeah.
Like, is there money involved with theirs?
That's a good question. But I mean, if he's a failed actor, then like...
Yeah.
If he, unless he has money still. I don't know. It's just kind of confusing, too, because I didn't even realize they were married. It took me a second time watching to hear them say, I think he said my wife, and I just missed that.
Yeah.
And it just kind of went over my head. But then when I knew they were married, I started looking at them differently and looking at their mannerisms towards each other, and it was kind of, it seemed more like a work relationship than, more so than a marriage.
And very true. If you go back to the first scene, he's outside talking to one of the members of the Higher Institute, and Deanna's over by the tree. I mean, the first episode, and she's over by the tree just looking.
Yeah,
and
then
it's
takes
like
the sticker off.
Yes, and you're like, was that supposed to be intentional? Was it supposed to be a little bit more about him, like maybe touching her in that area to take off the sticker? And Deanna didn't like that from the tree.
Yeah.
Like, I was wondering what that meant. It was just very subliminal, but it was kind of direct to like, well, what do you leave to assume if it was something that maybe, going back to your point, if they are arranged or if they're just business partners but they're married because of it.
Yeah.
That also was another point too.
Well, and did you guys catch when they said, does this feel as false for you as it does for me? Or I think it was vice versa, as for me as it does for you. And I was like, what?
I feel like I missed that.
It was one of their kisses, and then after that, like kind of early in the second episode in this current one.
It's so weird to me.
Yeah, I mean, their whole...
And then I had a moment of like, wait, are they married?
Yeah, you had to like rethink
that. Was my like confusing moment because it just felt so weird, and then that's what triggered me to think like maybe they're arranged as well. Because I guess I'm confused if the whole like arrangement is a part of the Higher Institute or if it's a part of Kyle's world.
Well, what was kind of strange is whenever they like have talked to these women. Actually, I think I wrote something down. I think this Higher Institute. It's really weird. I've been watching a show like on a different network too, where they have. It's not a Higher Institute, but there's a separate realm, and the whole realm. There's this whole like culty kind of thing where they are like kind of taking people's like vulnerability of whenever they're sad and turning it into like trying to help them. And that's kind of what I felt these people were when they went back and they were showing people in the Higher Institute in that like that meeting.
Yeah.
I felt like they were taking advantage of emotionally unstable people because it seemed as if they came to Terrence for like help and guidance. And so then it seems like they're maybe brainwashing these people, but when they were talking to certain girls, like the therapist in last episode, it kind of seemed like they were having people audition to be Kyle's arranged marriage.
They did. I forgot about that part.
Yeah.
And then she's now coming back and she has some agenda too, because if she was going to tell the tabloids what was going on, if Terrence and Deanna didn't come to agreement with her about it too. So that's probably really a good question to get into. I think I go back to Tessa too, being that I think Terrence is the Higher Institute. So I think that is him, and whatever he deals with, any other relationship, they have to follow under the criteria that he has developed with the Institute itself. So I think that will come into play, even more people that are introduced, and we'll see how he interacts with them.
There's so many questions to be answered at this point.
And also, what is
so
his
deep in thought
backstory?
now.
So, yes.
I know.
Well, and then lastly, we didn't talk about Megan getting attacked.
Oh,
Oh, yes.
That was kind of a moment for me where I really saw Kyle's true characters, but also it was a little interesting to me how he just appeared at the right time.
TV warrior, right?
I know, he was like sleeping and then all of a sudden he's right there. I kind of had that moment too where it felt a little, oh really, that happened.
Right.
But at the same time, it was kind of Kygan, like the couple. I thought that she knew, obviously she doesn't know because she's never been in this situation before, she's never been famous, but it was kind of weird. Why would you decide to go walk out on your own when you've been chased by paparazzi?
And then that was dark alley. I was wondering that too when it was happening, and then, just kind of the way it's set up, I'm like, okay, something's about to happen.
Yeah.
First of all, I was thinking it was actually going to be Lisbeth. I thought she was going to come back and they were going to shoot. I just wanted to warn you, something of that nature. I was kind of hoping that was going to come, but then it was just the man just trying to take advantage of her. So that kind of made me a little upset, because then it's, the scene and you're a woman and you're walking down a dark alley. That's never smart.
No.
So, but that was my theory. Like, I thought maybe Lisbeth was going to come out from somewhere and just like forewarn her again, but more information about why she's trying to forewarn her.
Like the secret.
Yes, exactly.
Like the guy in Willy Wonka that always shows up and like gives the kids the, like this is what's gonna happen. Like the warning. But also too, let's not forget when they were fighting on the bridge, he was like blaming her.
He was.
She
I
said
feel like I saw this aggressive, almost, he felt manipulated in a way to me side to him. Like he was like almost robotic to me. Like he was angry and he was taking it out on her, and it was just kind of uncomfortable. And I was kind of with Megan, but I was like, what did I do wrong? Like, they literally did nothing wrong.
She did nothing wrong, but it was just he was freaking out and blaming it on her for no reason. At least she's okay, and that's what he should have been consoling her. Like, are you okay? I can't believe that just happened to you. Mm-hmm. And she was just like, I'm fine, but don't blame me for the situation. And that kind of made me think, when you saw the kind of after he went to sleep and after he saved her and everything, I felt like there was this like retreat of him in the relationship.
Ooh.
I felt like he retreated from the emotions that we saw and the smiles that it gave me in the beginning of this episode. Kind of made me question his intentions towards the end of the episode.
And I think so too, because Megan, regardless if they knew she went to the gym or not, she wasn't where she was supposed to be in the hotel. Nobody had tabs on her. And so for him to come, I guess, maybe looking for her, and he sees that she's about to get mugged, that probably made him a little bit more upset too. But then again, it goes back to the whole how he's programmed to think and how his life is set up, because he is a famous actor. It's strict schedules and strict meetings.
So like if a thing goes out of line, it freaks you out.
Exactly.
He doesn't know how to
handle
with
What? Something, ladies.
I feel like we're mad scientists. We're getting deep.
We're like thinking of the theories of like everything that could happen. Hey, that's what makes shows good. You've got to think hard after you watch them.
It's true. So why don't we get into some predictions and maybe just the overall question?
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
I know, I already said like 5 of my predictions throughout the episode.
So here are my 2 big questions for you guys.
Yes.
What do you think the end game is with Kyle? And I'm really starting to wonder how this is all going to play into Megan's career. And if you see them staying together forever, or if you see her pulling out of it like Elizabeth did.
I'm trying to think in terms of like if this were like say this gets picked up for season 2, like where if she pulls out of the relationship, there would be no arrangement.
That is true.
So if I'm thinking logically like that, I'm gonna say she stays in the relationship, but it turns more into it's gonna be more soon about her story because they showed in the preview or not the previews, but like last episode, like this is what you missed, or and then it was her friend saying, but let's be real, you have a story or whatever it was, that, you know.
Yes.
So there's something going on with her. So I think that they're going to stay in this relationship, but they're going to find out more of her past, and they're going to have to, like, they're basically going to be running on top of hiding things. Everybody, it's like, because I feel that's what Kyle's doing is he keeps hiding things.
Right.
And, like, they don't want to know, they don't want everybody to know what actually happened with him and Elizabeth, so they're hiding that, and they're dragging a fake story on as if they're friends. And then now they've got Megan in the situation where they have an arranged marriage, and then people are going to find out about her, but then they're going to hide up that stuff. So it's just going to, like, pile on top where it's going to be this huge, like, crash and burn of, like, what's next?
Very true. I like that.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, it does.
Okay.
It was more of like
It's
to
not
get
a yes.
the.
It's not a yes
Yeah.
or no, but it's like more of so like a build that could possibly happen towards getting us.
I agree with you that Megan's hiding something because we touched on this when we were talking last week. How she's a college dropout. She went to NYU. Like she's kind of orphaned essentially.
Yeah.
Right. One of her parents died young and one died later when she was in college. So I feel like there's a lot going on. She dropped off the grid for a while.
Yeah.
Like that's really interesting to bring up right away. And Kyle doesn't have a family around him either.
Yeah.
Terrence in the higher institute. But I'm gonna
Seems like such great examples,
exactly. I'm gonna piggyback a little bit off of Ally and say that I think Megan's in the learning stage. I think she, even when Kyle told her towards the end that it's the addiction that everybody wants to see between him and Elizabeth, I think it was kind of underlying statement that just him being an actor, his lifestyle, it's an addiction, and he says you feed it whether you like it or not. I think she's learning because I don't think she's going to give up on her acting career, but I think to the point she's going to want to make her own demands and changes to this contract because now she's going to get into, okay, so this is how they want me to be, so then now in order for me to be comfortable doing this, I need to be able to do this on the side or whatever, you know, her demands
give
will
me
be.
this role.
Exactly.
Like she'll use it to her advantage.
Yes, and I think going back to when she was at the bar with Daisy, that turning her wheels, like she felt a little conflicted, like, okay, I am giving this because of Kyle, not because of my own work and my own ambitions, but maybe this could lead to that. So I think she's at a learning stage right now. She's just the fairy tale, what she's doing, this is great, but at the same time, I'm hoping it's gonna want to promote her to something more.
Yeah.
And
I
that's a great way to put it.
Yeah, that's a great way, and especially you bringing up Daisy, I think that that's not the last we'll see of her, and I think she's going to be a huge friend, more so than her best friends right now. She's going to be a huge friend later on in this storyline.
Yeah, I see Daisy staying in it and kind of almost mentoring Megan in a very nonchalant way.
Yeah.
Because I think Megan's going to rebel. I think that's my big prediction.
Yeah,
is Megan's going to like start rebelling, and it's going to be a huge problem.
Yeah.
And you see her, she's so sweet, she's so easygoing right now, she's so agreeable, and she has really no concerns. It's just do this, do that, and he's like, do you have anything you don't want? She was like, flying. Like, that was it. That's all you could say. Like, maybe I need socks on every time I fly a plane, or I need my pillow to be thick and fluffy. So, you know, she was just like, I'm not used to these things, so I really don't know how to answer.
Yeah.
But once she comes into her own and she gets the understanding of the Institute and how she was peeking in on Kyle when he was Skyping Terrence again to see what all that's about, because she doesn't really know as well. She just follow these rules and they're given to her. So I think really she's in the learning stage to kind of come and want to make her demands somewhere down the line.
I agree.
Well, I'm so excited. Thank you guys for watching and tuning in. I'm Tessa Cevaal. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Tessa_Cevaal. And ladies, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Ally Girl and on Twitter at Ally Nasta. And if you're interested in any other after shows, make sure you tune in on Thursdays at 11 o'clock to watch Sun Records Recap.
And you can find me on all social media at Taquaila_I am, and tune in on Mondays as well for Shades of Blue on NBC. I'll be there as well.
Have a great weekend, guys.
Bye.
See you in a week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.